So the first thing you're going to want to do is to create a project and then delete the scratch cat and create your model and rename the sprite to models. And then you're going to click this button right here to hide it. Then put your model of choice into this sprite. You can have several of these models if you want. So now that that is done, we can move on with our game. Let's create a sprite with this paint tool. Let's call this intro. Let's create a black space over it. Then we're going to take some text. I'm going to turn it to serif. And now we're just going to use some plain old text, such as a Fnaf fan game. We can put that there. And then what we can do is we can put the sprite in x00. Now we can duplicate this costume and say the next thing. Chuck Parker 1126 games. And then we can do our final one, which in this case is going to be the intro for me. Keep in mind that you can do whatever you want here, and you don't have to strictly follow these guidelines. You can make literally whatever in this intro. This is just how I like to do it. So we're going to take when flag clicked. We're going to do clear graphic effects, which makes it all the graphic effects are cleared. Then what we are going to do is set brightness to -100. And then we're going to press show. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a repeat. Since there are three, we also need to put switch costume to costume 1. So we're going to repeat 3 times. What we're going to do is we're going to say repeat 100. We're going to change brightness effect by 1. Wait 1 second. We're going to duplicate this. We're going to change it to -1. I'll take out this. And then we're going to put in next costume. So we get this fading effect. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do repeat 2, and then I'm going to do repeat 100, change brightness by 1, wait 1 second. This will just leave us on our title card. Now we're going to go back into the costume. I'm going to alt-click this text, which duplicates it. I'm going to drag it over here and make it noticeably smaller. I'm going to type S to skip. Not everyone's going to want to have to watch your super boring intro, so that's what we're going to do. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to make a variable. This variable will be called stage for all sprites. I'm going to press OK. We can also delete the my variable. Now we're going to set stage when flag clicked to 1. And then I'm going to make it so we do repeat 10, change ghost effect by 10, and hide. Basically this makes it so it fades out and goes into the menu. Then we're going to set stage to 2 there. I'm going to add another when flag clicked. Then we're going to use repeat until stage equals 2. And then we are going to do is if then key S pressed, then stop other scripts in sprite. We are going to do repeat 10, or we can just duplicate this and we can bring it up into here. So now if we press S during the intro, then the intro will disappear and we can skip through it. So I can press S here and it'll skip through it. And this script will stop. One way for you to avoid having lag in your games is from using forever variables or forever loops. Given that forever loops, if you have too many of them running at the same time, they can lag out your game. because the game is executing more than one thing at a time, and it can confuse the computer rendering all these frames and such. So we always want to minimize what we're using here. So we're going to keep that in mind. Now, we're going to do broadcast message 1 right above that change ghost effect. And basically, this will be our title menu thing. And basically, that is our intro. Fully done and coded. So we have an intro right here. Now let's get to work on the menu. First, let's type a sprite called parallax. We're going to have 3 costumes in here. One of Rabbi, which I will make bigger, and to the side here. We're also going to put this at 0, 0, and Rabbi's going to go right about there. Next, we're going to put things that you would want to put in the background. In this case, I'm going to stay true to the original game of How to Survive. I can add these weird blobs and hill things. And then I'm going to use a slightly darker color. I'm going to delete that. And then I'm just going to add basically this. And then finally, we're going to have our background. So, now that we have this, you may be wondering, well, how's this all going to work, since it's only in one sprite? Well, we're going to do when flag clicked, hide. When I receive message 1, we're going to make a variable. We're going to name it clone ID, and we're going to put it for this sprite only. Make sure to do this or else it won't work. Okay, we have our clone ID. So we're going to set clone ID to 0. We're going to repeat. How many things do we have? 4. We are going to repeat 4. We're going to change clone ID by 1. We're going to also switch costume to costume 1. Yeah, and then we're going to change clone ID by 1. Create clone of myself. Next costume. This basically makes it so that it makes the clones for us. What I'm also going to do is make a go to front layer here just to solve some layering issues. We're actually going to switch costume to costume 4, switch costume to costume number -1. Basically, I screwed it up. This should be in the front layer. These should be in the back, so I have to do the opposite now. That's how you do it. So, there, now we have this. As you can see, his arms don't blend well. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gradient behind him to separate Rabbi from the background. Then I'm going to add another gradient on top. So now we have this darkness with Rabbi. And just makes it look kind of cooler. So now we have our clones. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a repeat until on here. And we're going to put equals and stage equals 3. Which we will do later on. So, we're going to go to x0, y0, except we're going to do this, mouse x times negative 0.07, and y is mouse y. Basically, if we run the project now, it makes them do that, but as you can see, there's no parallel. So, or parallax. So what we're going to do is we're going to do if then else. We're going to do equals clone ID equals 1. And we're going to do that. Wait, sorry. 4. Which means Rabbi is 4. So he's going to be the ones scrolling now, and they are not. And then we're going to duplicate this. We're going to make it 3, and we're going to change this number to less. As you can see, we're starting to get that parallax effect. I'm going to duplicate this again. We're going to do 3 this time, and then clone ID equals 2, and now it's going to be like that. So now we have our parallax. As you can see, this guy is going a little bit off the edge, which is easily fixed. Okay. And there we go. We have ourselves our menu. I can also do this and add in white text, hide to survive. I think I'm going to change this to red actually. And also I'm going to make the back one go to x00. So now we have this title, and animation we can worry on later because there's an easy fix to that. So we are going to make play an option here. We're going to make a play button. For the sake of time, I'm just going to be making a box with text on it. But if you just want to have plain text, there's a way to do that as well. But I'd recommend using this because it's much more effective. So we're going to put play on here. I'm going to turn it to red because I like red for some reason. And what we're going to do again is when flag clicked, we're going to hide. And we're going to do when I receive message 1, repeat until stage equals 3. So what we're going to do in this, I'm going to play that real fast. I'm also going to make it show. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an if then else statement inside of here. And we're going to put touching mouse pointer. So if it's touching mouse pointer, I'm going to set brightness effect to 10. And we duplicate this and have 0. So if it's not touching mouse pointer, it'll be 0 brightness. And if it is touching mouse pointer, it'll be 10 brightness. So you can see it has better stuff like that. I'm going to add another thing. I'm going to change size by 100 minus size divided by 3. And we're going to put this in else. And then again, we're going to duplicate this, put it here, but instead it's going to be 110. So now it looks like it expands when you have your mouse on it, and it grows smaller when you don't. And then what we're going to do is if mouse down in the touching mouse pointer, we're going to set brightness to 0 and wait until not mouse down. So it looks like we're pushing it now. So I can bring this here. I'm going to bring it to just 50 now. Actually, 30 is good. And yeah, okay. So it's at 30 and we can do this. So we can, with this script, we can duplicate it and say continue. And then we can put continue at the same X position. So we're going to copy that and do that. So it's at the same X position. I think I'm gonna make it like that. So it kind of like lines up there. So play, continue, and all that. I think another thing I'm gonna do is just make these back ones just more dark. Makes it look a bit better. Okay, so finally, I think we're going to add another button later, but that can be dealt with later. So now we have buttons and a parallax menu, but what else do we want? Well, you probably are going to want animation on your character on the menu, which is what most people do. So I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to drag it all the way to the bottom. It's important that you do it like that. So at the bottom here, we're going to add a few frames of Rabbi just being weird, like glitching his head. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate when I start as clone. We're going to get rid of that, get rid of these. And we're going to do if then. I'm going to duplicate this and change this to clone ID. Change this to 4. So if it's Rabbi, then we're going to switch costume to costume 1. We're going to wait, pick random, 1 to 3 seconds, let's say. And we're going to do repeat. We're going to do another pick random. Let's do 5 to 10 for now. And we're going to switch costume to pick random 5 through 7. So these 3. So just a lot of randoms to randomize it. So this works. Well, I can actually... There we go. Okay, so now we have Rabby glitching out. So, as we can see, we have our fully functioning menu. We have 2 buttons and a parallax effect, all made with 1 sprite, and Rabby glitching out there. Okay. What shall we do next? Let's set up a newspaper and a cutscene into the office, and I think that's where we'll end off. So, we're going to go to play. What we're going to do is we're going to do something weird here, which is we're going to make a new variable called state. This is for all sprites as well. So I'm going to put this in parallax, and I'm going to say when I receive message 1, I'm going to set state to menu. So our state is now equal to menu. I'm also going to make this go to front layer again. So what we're going to do is we are going to put over this if state equals menu, then we put that. I'm going to duplicate that and just drag it into there and put it there as well. So it's only if state is menu, then we can click on it. And that's important. So now we can do this, which is if mouse down, we're going to set state to fade. I'm going to make a new variable called night. This is for all sprites. So this is what we're going to use to determine what night we're on. We're going to set night to 1, and this one doesn't need that. And then we're going to broadcast new message start. Okay. So we're going to make a sprite called fader. We're going to make it just black. That's it. Make it go to 0, 0. And when flag is clicked, we're going to hide it. Okay, now we are going to, when I receive start, we're going to do set ghost effect to 100. It's going to show. Then we're going to repeat 10, change ghost effect by 10, or negative 10, and then we're going to wait a second, and I'll broadcast newspaper, and then we're going to do this again, but it's going to be 10, and we're going to hide. So what we can do is, when this happens, we can set stage to 3, right here, which means it will stop all of these scripts. It'll stop basically everything. And then what we can do is drag in, when I receive newspaper, hide. We'll put that there. Put that in play. And also in parallax, we're going to put delete this clone. So I can skip out. And there. There should be nothing running. It's just gone. So yeah, we have ourselves an intro. We have our working parallax clone menu. We have working buttons. And yeah, I think that's it for this tutorial. I will follow it up very soon. I won't cancel it like the others, I promise. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.